What's up, guys? So I just watched episode 8 of Akame Got Kill, and here's what happened. We start off right where we left off with Bullet on the boat cutting Sabretooth in half and beating the shit out of everybody else. He sees Silverstash and realizes that it was the general who had helped him out earlier and starts kind of freaking out. The two start having a little bit of dialogue and exposition, and we find out that the general started working for Lady Esdeath because she broke him out of jail. Now at the beginning it looks like Bullet might have the upper hand because he has his Imperial arms, but as it turns out, so does Silverstash. His is a ring that can control water, and seeing as how they're on a boat, he kinda starts to have the advantage. Although instead of just using the ring properly and drowning Bullet like anybody with common sense would do, he decides to make water dragons and have them pummel Bullet instead. Bullet gets his ass whooped for a while. Meanwhile, Tatsumi is fighting Link, aka the flute playing kid. Tatsumi starts losing because he doesn't have an Imperial arms and the kid does. Eventually, Bullet kind of breaks out of the water dragon fight and helps out Tatsumi, exclaiming, "Hey man, you did pretty well for not having an Imperial arms." He then turns his sight back on the general. The two have a semi-heated, if not exactly well-animated battle, and eventually Silverstash decides to inject himself with what looks like Bane Venom and get stronger. Bullet takes this opportunity to rush in and slash wildly with his sword, eventually landing a cut on Silverstash. But Silverstash isn't out of the battle yet and starts bloodbending his own blood and starts stabbing Bullet with it. The cuts don't seem to do much except maybe weaken Bullet, and eventually Silverstash falls. Tatsumi runs up to praise Bullet on a job well done when suddenly Bullet starts coughing up blood. This is when we find out that the stuff that Silverstash had infected himself with wasn't just like Bane Venom, it was also kind of poisonous and he had built up an immunity to it, but seeing as how it was in his blood, and he stabbed Bullet with his blood, it's now in Bullet. So as I clairvoyantly called, Bullet starts dying. But as luck would have it, the hard times are compiled when Link gets back up and starts playing some music on his flute. It turns out he was kind of their trump card, and the musical note he's playing now makes him super beefy Link. With Bullet almost out of commission and Tatsumi not having an Imperial arms, Bullet decides to give Tatsumi his Imperial arm. It turns out that the Imperial arms wasn't the armor itself, it was a sword that went with it. So he hands Tatsumi the sword, and Link starts saying, hey, you know what, your body might reject that, and if your body and the sword reject each other and you don't fit together, you're gonna die. Which is bullshit because the same thing happened a few episodes ago, and the eye thing rejected Tatsumi and he didn't die from that. So this story isn't really keeping up with its own rules. But whatever. Bullet then goes to explain the history of the sword and the fact that it used to belong to some kind of dragon thing. It was part of its body, and they took it from the dragon and made an Imperial arms out of it, killing the dragon, but the dragon didn't really die because he lives on in the sword. And he'll decide, and Tatsumi liked it originally when he first saw it, and was like amazed by it, so it must like him. Anyways, after this bullshit dragon story gets explained, Tatsumi tries putting on the armor, and the dragon bursts through the boat to help him out. The dead dragon, whose soul is in this sword, bursts through the boat and helps him out. So anyways, after that, Tatsumi suits up and everything works out just fine. He goes after Link and punches him so hard he turns him into a Rorschach test. And then Tatsumi runs over to Bullet, who's dying, holds him in his arms and starts crying, and then it starts raining because this scene was so sad that the sky had to cry, and our episode ends. This episode, it kind of went to like crazy shonen territory, which is fine if that were what it was from the beginning, but it kind of wasn't that. It was a little bit more realistic than your average shonen. I mean, they had rules set in place, and then this episode they bring those rules back, but they had already discredited them by Tatsumi trying an Imperial arms and it not killing him when it rejected him. So I mean, I don't know, like they need somebody to straighten out all these contradictions and stuff. It's just bad writing. And of course, as I called, Bullet dies, and it's kind of cliche, let's be honest here. I mean, I don't want to shit on it too hard. It's not the worst anime I've ever seen, but it's not great either. At least not yet. But at least in this episode, they let the emotional thing be emotional, even if it was a little bit over the top with the raining and all that crap. At least they let it be what it was supposed to be. And Tatsumi getting Bullet's arms at the end there was kind of a nice touch, and I hope that he keeps it and doesn't like upgrade to another arms or some bullshit. Like, that should stick. That should stay because it's kind of symbolic of his relationship with him and stuff. That's fine, I don't mind that. But I mean, did it have to be so transparent? Did we have to really see every step of what was coming? Not to say that it was completely badly written. I mean, the poison blood thing was kind of cool, although they took the bloodbending from Avatar and seemingly Tokyo Ghoul and Dead Man Wonderland and, you know, everything. I just would have liked to see some more originality and them trying less to be like other shows. I mean, the water dragon thing had been done before. Why didn't he just use the ring? If he was so in love and so infatuated with Esdeath as he said he was, why didn't the general just like use the ring properly and straight up just kill him? I mean, it seemed like he could have, right? Bullet, I mean, he's essentially a close range fighter. There's nothing too long range about him, and his power source is limited. So knowing this, knowing how Bullet fights and stuff, why didn't the general just straight up kill him? It seemed like he could have drowned him, and Tatsumi shouldn't have survived that fight, let's be honest. That Link kid had an arms, Tatsumi didn't. The Link kid was, I mean, as Tatsumi said at one point, possibly faster than Bullet, so he shouldn't have survived. This was all kind of just pulled out of their ass, if you ask me. But like I said, it had some good moments, although the fight scenes, they were just really uninspired. I mean, you had those kind of quick action frame loop things that they do in Dragon Ball Z during the sword fights, and it really is starting to let me down, because originally in the first 2 episodes the animation was a lot more fluid, it was a lot more solid, and it's just degrading, and that's really upsetting because that was the one thing it had going for it, in my opinion. So what are your thoughts on this episode, guys? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you see Bullet dying? Let me know in the comments down below. Peace!